The Seattle Seahawks just walked into Tennessee, dropped 30 points while barely holding the ball for 22 minutes, and made the entire NFL hit the panic button all at once. That final score of 30-24 looks close on paper, but if you watched the game, you felt it. Seattle could flip the switch whenever they wanted, hit a deep bomb to Jackson Smith and Jigba, and suddenly the Titans were the ones chasing shadows. One receiver is already over 1,300 yards this season and just broke the franchise record with weeks still left. A quarterback everyone called washed is playing the cleanest football of his life, and a defense missing half its starters still shut the door when it mattered most. Here's the part that should keep every NFC team up at night. This wasn't even the Seahawks at their best. They flew across the country after a brutal emotional war with the Rams where Sam Darnold threw 4 picks and every hit felt personal. Most teams show up flat after that kind of beating. Instead, Seattle treated the Titans like a warm-up and still scored 30 while running the ball for almost 6 yards a pop. They're doing all of this while pieces are still missing, while red zone mistakes keep games closer than they should be, and while the ceiling is nowhere in sight. But the real story starts with the one player who's turning into the most unfair weapon in football right now. When defenses look at this offense, they don't know where to send the extra help anymore because one guy is breaking the league in half every single week. And what he just did to Tennessee was only the latest warning shot. Stick with me, because once you see what Jackson Smith and Jigba is actually doing this season, you'll understand why the Seahawks aren't just good, they're about to become everyone's nightmare. But before we get into that, hit the like and subscribe button for more Seahawks and all the NFL content. Can we get 100 likes on this video? Picture this. A cornerback jams at the line, a safety cheats over the top, and still the ball is in the air before they can blink. Jackson Smith and Jigba just snatched 8 catches for over 160 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Titans. And that night felt normal for him now. He's already passed 1,300 yards on the year, just snapped DK Metcalf's single-season franchise record, and the calendar still has December games waiting. Defenses are throwing double teams, rolling coverage, pressing, doing everything they can, yet he keeps finding grass like the field tilts toward him. What makes it unfair is what happens the second teams overcommit. Cooper Kupp slides into the underneath voids and eats up easy chunks. Rashid Shaheed blows the top off when safeties creep down. And even tight end AJ Barner starts popping open on third downs. One guy pulls the entire coverage map out of shape before the snap even happens, and the rest of the playbook turns into free money. Quarterbacks dream about having a receiver who forces that kind of respect, and right now Seattle has the one doing it better than anyone else in the league. The craziest part is none of this explodes the way it does without the guy under center finally playing calm, smart, winning football. He just came off the worst game of his season, flew 3 time zones, and delivered one of the cleanest performances you'll see all year. Keep watching because Sam Darnold quietly flipped his entire story in one night, and what he's becoming is the exact trigger man this loaded offense was built for. A week ago, everyone was ready to bury Sam Darnold again after 4 picks against the Rams left the whole fan base screaming. Fast forward 7 days, same quarterback steps into a hostile road environment on a short week and goes 16 for 24, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, and most importantly, 0 picks. No forcing throws into traffic, no late decisions, just quick eyes, fast feet, and letting his playmakers cook after the catch. That clean stat line doesn't jump off the page until you realize he did it while the offense only had the ball for 22 minutes total. This version of Darnold looks completely different because he finally stopped trying to be the hero every snap. In Clint Kubiak's system, he gets the ball out fast, hits the open guy, and trusts the design instead of hunting big plays that aren't there. When the Titans crowded the box, he took the easy throws. When they backed off, he climbed the pocket and dropped dimes. The confidence is bleeding into every series now. You can see it in how fast he resets and goes right back to work after a bad play. He doesn't have to carry the team anymore, he just has to manage it. And that simple change has turned a strength into a superpower. That steady hand at quarterback is the reason the run game is suddenly punishing people again. Defenses know they can't load the box without paying for it deep, and that hesitation is exactly what 2 angry backs are waiting to exploit. Get ready, because what Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet are doing to tired fronts right now is straight up bullying, and it's only getting worse for the rest of the league. When the passing game already scares you deep and underneath, the last thing any defense wants is two backs who refuse to go down easy. Seattle only handed the ball off 20 times against Tennessee, yet still ripped off 114 yards at almost 6 yards a clip. And every carry felt like it took another piece of the Titans' soul. Kenneth Walker needed just 11 touches to gash them for 71 yards, cutting back, bouncing outside, making one guy miss in the hole, and then daring the safety to come downhill. One hesitation, and he was gone. Pure violence with speed attached. Then comes Zach Charbonnet to finish what Walker starts. He's the hammer that keeps dragging piles forward, turning 3-yard gains into 5 and 5 into first downs nobody saw coming. His touchdown run late in the game wasn't flashy. It was just mean, lowering the shoulder and daring 3 white jerseys to stop 230 pounds of momentum. Together, they give the offense a completely different personality, long clock-eating drives that wear out pass rushers and set up play-action shots that defenses are already terrified to give up. That ground attack does more than move the chains. It protects a defense that's been surviving on fumes and pure will. The guys on the other side of the ball are missing starters left and right, yet they keep making stops when the game is on the line. Hold tight, because this next unit is defying every injury report and turning practice squad names into household ones overnight. You ever watch a game where one team is down starters at every level and still feels like the one dictating terms? Seattle's defense stared down a nightmare scenario with no Ernest Jones, no Tyrese Knight, and no Julian Love. Yet they bent but never broke against a Titans squad that held the ball for 37 minutes. Cam Ward, the Titans' rookie quarterback, scrambled, slung it all over the lot for 256 yards and a score, but Seattle forced him into 4 sacks and kept the big plays off the board when the clock was ticking down. That's not surviving, that's thriving under fire. The unsung heroes stepped up in ways that make you rethink the whole depth chart. Drake Thomas racked up double-digit tackles, flying sideline to sideline like he owns the field, while Patrick O'Connell, fresh off the practice squad, crashed the backfield for a sack and stuffed runs that had no business gaining a yard. Up front, Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams owned the edges, collapsing pockets and turning easy throws into hurried misses. And even Derek Hall finally broke through with his first sack of the year, a moment that lit up the whole unit. Behind them, Nick Emenwari locked down the secondary with sure tackles and smart reads, never letting Ward slip away clean on those designed runs. All that grit has Seattle allowing just under 20 points a game this season, sitting top tier even with the injury carousel spinning. But one cornerback in particular went from the hot seat to shutdown mode, and his turnaround is the quiet force making this secondary a weapon again. Stay locked in, because Rick Woolen's season just went from question mark to exclamation point in the blink of an eye. Early this year, Rick Woolen was the guy getting torched, with quarterbacks hitting 13 of 18 throws when they tested him, sparking endless debates about his spot on the roster and whispers of shipping him out. Fans were losing patience after those coverage lapses against San Francisco and that one jump ball to Davante Adams that turned into 6 points. The kind of plays that stick in highlight reels for all the wrong reasons. It was a rough stretch that tested everything from his technique to his confidence. But instead of folding, he vanished into the film room and came back with a different fire in his eyes. Then everything shifted after that Texans matchup. Now opponents are just 10 of 25 for 69 yards and only 1 touchdown when they dare throw his way. A stat line that screams lockdown instead of liability. That single score, it was Adams making an unreal grab through contact, not Woolen getting beat deep. His technique sharpened up, sticking hips on the outside, flipping his hips to run with roots, and trusting Mike McDonald's scheme to put him in position to win one-on-one battles without help over the top. The results speak for themselves. He's climbing those PFF rankings in coverage snaps, right there with the elite like Sauce Gardner, turning what was a weak link into a total eraser. That kind of flip on the boundary pairs perfectly with Devin Witherspoon on the other side, letting Seattle dial up more pressure up front and play with house money in the back end. It's the missing piece that makes this whole defense feel portable for road games and deep playoff runs, But when you stack it against an offense firing on all cylinders, the questions start piling up about where this squad actually lands in the conference scrum. Hang on, because the path ahead is loaded with traps and a massive opportunity that could rewrite the entire NFC picture. Right now, the Seahawks sit at 8 wins through 11 games, yet the Rams still own the division crown, and the NFC is an absolute bloodbath with Philadelphia, Chicago, Green Bay, and Tampa all stacked up above 7 wins. One bad Sunday, and Seattle drops into the wildcard traffic jam. One hot streak, and they can steal the West and maybe even a first-round bye. That razor-thin margin is why every practice, every rep, every red zone snap matters more than it ever has under this new staff. The Titans game proved they can win ugly on the road, but those stalled drives and field goals instead of touchdowns are the only thing keeping teams in striking distance late. Look at what's coming. Minnesota next with their explosive playmakers, then Atlanta and Indianapolis. Games Seattle should handle if they play their brand of football, followed by the rematch with the Rams inside a roaring Lumen Field. Win the ones you're supposed to, and that December clash becomes a division title fight with home field implications on the line. Clean up the self-inflicted mistakes, start punching in touchdowns when they're inside the 10, and suddenly the same team that barely beat Tennessee starts hanging 40s on people. The talent is already there. The depth is already proven. They just need that final killer instinct to flip the switch from contender to the team nobody wants any part of. When that last piece clicks, the entire NFC is going to feel it. This roster, under Mike Macdonald in year 1, has gone from rebuild to legitimate monster faster than anyone predicted. Stay till the end, because in the next 30 seconds, I'm dropping the one sentence that explains why the Seattle Seahawks are one clean month away from making the whole league panic. Imagine a January night at Lumen Field where the crowd roars so loud it shakes the stands, and Seattle finally seals a playoff win by turning a late lead into a blowout with back-to-back touchdowns. That's the vision staring this team in the face after Mike Macdonald took a roster full of question marks and molded it into a juggernaut in under a year. From overlooked free agents to breakout stars, every piece fits now. Offense flowing like a river. Defense holding the dam, all while the coaching staff tweaks the edges to make sure nothing leaks. The truth hits hard when you step back. This isn't a team scraping for a spot anymore. It's one that's built to host deep into the postseason and send opponents home early. Fix those small slips in the fourth quarter, get the healthy bodies back in rhythm, and watch the points pile up while the other side gasps for air. The NFC has contenders, sure, but none with this blend of speed, power, and depth that feels unbreakable. If you felt that fire watching this breakdown, smash that like button right now and drop a comment on who the Seahawks face first in the playoffs. Subscribe for more breakdowns that cut through the noise, because Seattle's story is just getting started, and the league better get ready for what comes next.